All right, you asked for questions.
Yeah.
Let me start with so personal like dietary regular habits.
Okay.
I'm a huge soda guy. I try not to be. I know it's terrible. The fad these days seems to be going to sparkling water.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a difference is sparkling water than obviously regular soda, but like diet soda, which is the one that I try to live in because at least I'm staying away from the sugar there.
That's a great question. Honestly, it depends,
Mm-hmm.
which I hate living in the it depends. The first thing, so we're comparing three things. So we got the soda, the diet soda, and then the sparkling water. So comparison-wise, there's no calories in sparkling water versus like 200 calories per can in a regular soda. So comparative-wise, the sparkling water is always going to be better because you're adding your calories from the regular
Gotcha.
soda.
Okay.
I think where the it depends comes with the diet soda is that it's an alternative sweetener. Some people can tolerate it, some people can't. Some people
Right.
have like GI problems with that. Also, people respond metabolically differently with the diet soda.
Yeah, I've heard that like the sweeteners can sometimes make you want to eat more anyway,
Yeah,
which
so-
defeats the whole purpose of the thing.
Yeah. So we're waiting on science to figure that out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why it depends. So if you find that there's nothing that goes on and that's giving
Right.
you 0 calories and not,
The cravings, basically.
yeah, then go for it.
The other question I had, or one of the question number 2, I grew up with.
I'm gonna eat this.
Oh, feel free. Yeah. Give me one. With the idea of like body mass index, and you go online and you'll say, all right, there's weight loss programs or nutritional programs, and they'll want okay, what's your height and weight, and
Yeah.
they'll tell you where you're at.
Yeah.
I've always not been someone who qualifies well with that because I am shorter and stockier.
And you have muscle.
Exactly. So when I go on, like for example, I'm like 5'10", 210-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay.
It'll tell me all the time that I'm like grossly obese. That like I should just keel over and die at any moment.
Aw.
Is that I'm okay emotionally about that. But health wise,
I love how
is
you're
it
like, I'm gonna be okay.
exactly? But is that a legit concern when I see something like that and think? I mean, I kind of got to the point where like, all right, this is stupid. But how stupid is it? I guess.
That's a great question. So actually, I just had a Twitter, I don't know if you saw it with Evan Dustin, and we talked with some people about that exact thing. Just know that dietitians, especially like science-based dietitians, we use BMI as a loose marker. Like
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
really rarely go to BMI other than to kind of gauge calories and stuff. So it might be used to help gauge how many calories you should take in. But other than that, I would look at your family history of cardiovascular risk. You mentioned like colon health.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest thing for you. How much you're working out, what you're eating, all those things.
The normal stuff you.
Yeah, because I feel like BMI doesn't assess your overall health, your mental health, and your actual like heart health. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So like
and
if
that
you
makes
ever,
sense.
yeah.
It's kind of like what I thought, but it's nice to hear a scientist back it up for me, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's kind of like the new realm is like how do we assess overall health and move forward with kind of an obesity epidemic while still being mindful that BMI is not the be all and all.
Right,
and it's not. So
and it's not just
doing-
BMI. I mean, it's like all, the basic programs. Anytime you go to anything online to, research something, it always says height, weight, and then height, weight. It's something like the computer's like, what are you doing? You know, like, dude. I mean, I've played football. I built up muscle.
Yeah.
I'm not built like normal. I won't say normal.
No.
I'm not built like they want me to be built. You know.
Right. And I think that's an awesome, like, honest question, and I think more and more people, I hope, hear that from us, like the nutrition community, the RDs, is that BMI is not everything, and we want to look at your blood pressure, your heart health, your family history to kind of, and also your goals, like what do you want to do to live longer and feel better, so that's kind of it.
The other fad I want to ask you about,
Uh-oh.
and I'm not really interested. I don't think I could ever like pull this off. Yet I don't think we want to talk about what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
But Adam, this NSFW all of a sudden.
Right, it was.
So the keto diet is
my.
the fad, and like I actually looked at it. I'm not I want to lose about 10 pounds, and if I wanted to do it, I know how to do it. I don't really want to do it. I'm being lazy.
Okay.
But
You're not.
I looked at this and I said, I see how this would make some sense, but dear Lord, I don't know if I ever could pull that diet off. What is the scientific take on keto right now?
Okay, great question. Many people have different opinions. I'm not going to hate on keto. I will say this. It's an individual choice. And what I always say to preface the ketogenic diet is scientists created it because our brain relies solely on glucose for energy, right? That's the preferred substrate. And so it was developed for folks who were having seizures to deprive their brain of glucose so that the seizures would stop. So I lead with that because then you think about that in terms of weight loss. And
it sounds like you are doing something unnatural to your brain for a side effect of something else that it was intended to be for.
Right. And also, depending on your LDL cholesterol, your heart health, for your colon health, it changes the game a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'd have to be mindful of that. So if you have an elevated cholesterol, if you have heart disease in the family, it's severely restricting fiber. It can have all those effects. So I would say I'm supportive of folks who choose that. I would just want them to be educated in what choices they're making.
So someone like me who really like fiber is a priority.
I would
stay with,
not
right,
suggest
gotcha.
it. Yeah, and then it also doesn't teach you new habits. So
Right.
for long term, so you only get that
Right.
for like a certain amount of time you lose weight, and that's why most people gain weight
Right,
afterwards.
right, yeah.
Because they've not changed their habits. So yeah, these are good questions.
Thank you.